Hey there, good evening. Welcome to Prog Monster. My name is Murph, and I'm the host of this show, a show dedicated to progressive rock, hard rock, heavy metal, and other forms of rock genre. So tonight it's Monday night, so we're doing a look back at a classic album, and I've chosen this one for today. One of the albums I quite like a lot, Van Halen's Diver Down. Now I know that this album has has its detractors, and a lot of people like to kind of crap all over it. But I personally like the album. I don't generally like covers from bands, but in the case of Van Halen, they're the exception to the rule. I think they often do better on the covers than the original band did with the song. In fact, almost all the time, I can't think of a single cover they did that I thought the other group did better than them. So, this album gets knocked down quite a bit because it has 5 covers on here. That's quite a bit from a band of this stature. Anyways, really good stuff. I think Van Halen, for about 3 or 4 albums there, were right at the top of the list for me, like right near the top. One of my favorite bands at that time period. They've slipped over the years, mostly because David Lee Roth wasn't in the band anymore, but also just in general, their music kind of changed a bit for me, and I didn't listen to them much later on. But I have the first 6 studio albums. I love all of them. Just to varying degrees, I like some of them more. This just happens to be one of the ones near the top for me. So, anyways, about this album. Okay, it was released on April the 14th, 1982, and I remember that well because I got the money to get this album for my birthday, and it came out a couple days after mine. So that's why I remember it so well. It was in studio. It was not produced. I was going to say produced, but it was actually put together in Sunset Sound in Los Angeles, the studio. The length is actually fairly short album, but there's 12 tracks on it, but they're pretty solid. And the album was like 31 minutes long, so that's pretty good. Usually the album's a little bit longer than that, but this was a shorter one. Released on the Warner Brothers label, of course, and Ted Templeton was the producer. Of course, the band, Van Halen itself, featured David Lee Roth on vocals, Edward Van Halen on guitars, Michael Anthony on bass, and Alex Van Halen on the drums. The classic Van Halen lineup. Love this band quite a bit, like I said. This album is right near the top for me amongst their studio stuff. I'll do the covers first, just because they might be a little more notable for people who don't know much about Van Halen. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? That was a Kinks song, which was a pretty good song done by the Kinks, but Van Halen has Edward Van Halen, so the guitar is much better, and I think David Lee Roth's vocals are better on this as well. Just a really good song. Pretty Woman. I never cared much for Roy Orbison. It's not that there's anything wrong with Roy in particular. It's just that kind of reminds me of country western music, and I'm just not a big fan of a lot of that. And so this country kind of western, although it's not really country western, does sound kind of lame and laid back compared to Van Halen's Pretty Woman. The other one, Dancing in the Streets, I'd never heard the original. I still have never heard the original. I have heard another version of this, and I want to say that it was the Stones that did it, but I could be completely off base there. But somebody else did do it. I did hear another cover of it, but Van Halen just does it so much better. That guitar riff at the beginning is just priceless. Big Bad Bill. I love this kind of style of music, and David Lee Roth his voice really makes this song. I know there's people that can't stand this on the album, wishes it wasn't here, but I just think it's great. It's one of my favorite tracks on the album. Probably in the top 2 anyways, top 2 or 3 songs on this album for me. And then, of course, the old Dale Evans and Roy Rogers Happy Trails, which I think they do a pretty decent job here with the harmony. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my knee in a comfortable position. So anyways, That's for the covers. Now, the other songs on the album, the covers are good, but I think the other songs on the album are even better. The tracks that they wrote themselves are fantastic here. Hang 'em High, fantastic pounding song on this. Secrets, I like that quite a bit. And Cathedral has that little kind of, I guess it's a synth bit, but it sounds like a synth bit, but I'm pretty sure it's the guitars. Of course, Little Guitars has that little acoustic classical intro, followed by a pretty heavy guitar riffed song. I just think this is one of the best Van Halen songs. Little Guitars, fantastic stuff. And then the last song that they did on this, I think, is their heaviest song on the album, and it's a song much underrated. Definitely one of Van Halen's best songs, and that's The Full Bug. Probably my favorite song on this track, on this record. So, to me, this album is very good. I don't think it doesn't reach master status with me, but it's pretty close. I like this almost as much, maybe even more than Van Halen 1, and that's saying quite a bit. So, if you haven't had a chance to listen to this album, or you've heard of Van Halen and maybe you listen to more of the Hager stuff, you should go back and take a listen to this album. It's quite strong. It's not. It's more a little bit more. It's more, to me. It's more commercial than its predecessors, but less commercial than the one that came after 1984, which has some good stuff, but not. I don't think it's a great album. This one is maybe their last, to my way of thinking, maybe their last really good album. So like I said, I know there's people out there that think this album is nothing to think about, but I think they're wrong. I think the production is very good on this album as well, and I would recommend this if you're a person trying to go back and listen to stuff you maybe haven't heard before, and this is one of the albums that you haven't heard before. It's worth the money, man. It's a great album. I listened to it last night. I listened to it today. Fantastic album. So there you have it. Van Halen's Diver Down. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll be doing another look back again, of course, next Monday. I'm thinking I'm going to lead a little more towards the prog era. I'm just not quite sure. I haven't really picked anything yet. I like to think about it for a week until I get some motivation to do it. And so we'll be doing that next week. Of course, Wednesday night we have our favorites night, I call it. This week we're doing favorite Canadian bands that had some impact with me when I was younger. I didn't rank them or anything like that. I just made a list of I think it's 25 or 30 bands that I think are worth listening to that are Canadian. And of course I didn't include Rush or Neil Young in this because everybody already knows them anyway. So these are just other bands other than those two. So that's coming up Wednesday, and then coming up Friday we have a live. It's a Friday night live experience. I hope you're going to enjoy that. I picked something I think is pretty enjoyable. And anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Keeps me motivated to do as much as I can. And we'll see you very soon. So from Prog Monster, have a good evening.